You guys definitely had your challenges this year. This year and this week, every day. Yeah. Just feels like it was a disjointed season with a lot of problems, but we got through her. The Gold Rush Season 15 finale was a full-blown emotional roller coaster with engines roaring, dreams on the line, and trust us, what went down in that nearly 2-hour showdown was pure gold drama. Let's break it down, minor by minor, starting with a comeback story that hit everyone right in the feels. Winter had settled into the Yukon like a heavy blanket, and with every degree dropping, the pressure went up for Rick Ness. This season was personal. After being away from the game for over a year, he returned with just 7 crew members, a whole lot of heart, and even more to prove. Things didn't exactly start off smooth. His water license was still stuck in limbo, and time was slipping fast, but that didn't stop him. With the freezing cold creeping in, Rick and his team ran their plant 24/7, determined to make every second count. Then disaster struck. The belt on their monster red shaker deck snapped. That could have ended it right there. But mechanic Ryan Kent wasn't about to give up. He got creative, drilled makeshift holes, rigged a clip, and somehow kept the whole machine alive. Just when it looked like they were back in the game, boom. Another problem. A water line under the wash pad started leaking, and this one stopped everything in its tracks. After checking the damage, Rick had to make the tough call. It was time to shut down the site. The team was crushed. Morale was low. But Rick had one final move left, the last gold way. At first, the numbers weren't great, just 110.79 ounces on the scale. But then came the twist. Rick pulled out not one, but 2 hidden gold canisters. One had 200 ounces, the other 100. The total haul was a stunning 411 ounces, worth more than $1.1 million. The entire crew was speechless. Then Rick did something that sealed the moment. He gave each crew member a 25-ounce bonus. That's $50,000 a pop. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the bond they built together. And Rick made a promise. If the water license comes through, they'll be back next season. Stronger, tighter, and even more golden. Now, Parker Schnabel never plays small. Every year the goals get bigger, and this time he had his sights set on a massive 10,000-ounce haul. But Season 15 threw everything it had at him. From equipment breakdowns to frozen ground, and not enough hands on deck, Parker found himself in a real squeeze. The pressure was so intense he had to dial back that big goal to 8,000 ounces, something he's never had to do in his entire 14-year mining career. And even then, it was going to be tight. We started the season with a 10,000-ounce goal. We brought it down to an 8,000 goal, and we're nowhere close. But in 14 years of mining, we've never set a goal and not hit it. With the clock ticking and winter closing in, Parker pulled off a bold last-minute move. He rolled the dice on a new claim, Gold Run. Veteran miner Tyson Lee had just cleared a solid 1-acre cut there, and Parker wasn't going to let it go to waste. To handle the dirt fast, he brought in the Rock Gobbler, a classic old-school shaker deck that's been around the block, but still gets the job done. Meanwhile, Parker's right-hand man, Chris Dumit, dialed in the sluicing system like a total pro. But even with the adjustments, the challenges kept piling up. The conveyor belts jammed, rocks had to be shoveled out by hand, and the frost threatened to freeze everything in place. That didn't stop Parker. He jumped into the cab of his D10 dozer and bulldozed through the icy ground himself. Nothing was going to be left on the table. Finally, it was time for the big moment, the gold way. Parker had 3 wash plants running, and every ounce counted. First up was the bridge cut, where Big Red's successor, now nicknamed Bob, had been running full throttle. The result was 343.07 ounces. That's about $920,000 in gold. Not bad. Next was the elbow cut, handled by wash plant Roxanne. After weeks of careful digging and recovery, Roxanne delivered a strong 336.03 ounces, worth around $820,000. Last up was the big question mark, the high-risk, high-reward gamble known as Gold Run. This was where Parker had pinned his final hopes, tossing everything he had into one last desperate play. The rock gobbler had just started chewing through dirt from a newly cleared area, and even though operations were still fresh, the results were surprisingly solid. The plant churned out 99.20 ounces, pulling in around $266,000 worth of gold. It wasn't the miracle Parker needed, but it was a decent haul considering how late the game was. Altogether, between Bob, Roxanne, and the old-school rock gobbler, Parker raked in 6,837.04 ounces of gold. That's a jaw-dropping total worth more than $18.3 million, his most profitable season ever. But here's the twist. It still wasn't enough to hit his scaled-down goal of 8,000 ounces. For the first time ever, Parker Schnabel came up short. Standing out in the cold with the gold weighed and the numbers final, Parker didn't sugarcoat it. "I'm not proud of it," he admitted. "I let this happen. It won't happen again." Despite the sting, this season felt more like a setup than a setback. With new ground explored and a ton of valuable lessons under his belt, Season 16 is already shaping up to be his redemption arc, and maybe even his most impressive season yet. While Parker was grinding through the snow, Tony Beets was doing what he does best, building a mining dynasty with pure horsepower and a whole lot of family muscle. This season, Tony came into the finale riding high. He had multiple wash plants humming across both Indian River and Paradise Hill, and for the first time in what felt like forever, his entire family was back on the ground and working together. Tony's daughter, Monica Beets, took on a leading role this season with remarkable determination and skill. She was in charge of a brand new wash plant called Herald, a machine specifically designed to tackle a difficult but potentially rewarding task: recovering gold from old tailings left behind by the original miners decades ago. These tailings were piles of dirt and rock that had already been processed once, which meant they were often overlooked or dismissed as being worthless. But Monica saw opportunity where others had seen waste. She understood that the technology used by the original miners wasn't nearly as efficient as what modern operations could offer. With the right equipment and enough persistence, she believed there was still valuable gold hiding in those discarded mounds. Her initiative wasn't just about gold, it was also about legacy. As the next generation of the Beets family, Monica was proving herself not just as Tony Beets' daughter, but as a capable and forward-thinking miner in her own right. The Herald wash plant quickly became the centerpiece of her operation. From overseeing its setup to fine-tuning its performance, Monica was hands-on every step of the way. She managed her team with focus and intensity, ensuring that the plant ran efficiently and consistently. And despite the odds, her efforts began to pay off. As the gold started showing up in the sluice box, it became clear that the tailings still held treasure, and Monica was the one who figured out how to extract it. Meanwhile, Tony's cousin Mike Beets was running point at Indian River, another crucial mining site in the family's sprawling operation. Mike brought a cool-headed, practical approach to the high-stakes world of gold mining. He was in charge of keeping everything running smoothly in a location known for both its gold-rich ground and its unpredictable conditions. Whether it was managing heavy equipment, troubleshooting problems with wash plants, or keeping the crew motivated, Mike handled it all with quiet competence. His experience and steady presence made Indian River one of the most productive arms of the Beets family empire this season. Up at Paradise Hill, Tony's son, Mike Jr., was operating the trommel plant with impressive consistency. His work ethic and familiarity with the equipment allowed him to run the plant like a well-oiled machine. The trommel's output was strong and steady, and Mike Jr.'s leadership helped maintain a high level of production. His contribution was vital to the overall success of the Beets mining efforts. Adding to the family-driven momentum, Kevin Beets, Tony's other son, returned to the scene with his own crew. This time, he wasn't just a team player, he was a team leader. Kevin was responsible for producing royalty ounces, a special form of gold revenue that directly added to the family's total haul. His leadership marked a turning point in his mining career as he transitioned from learning under his father to proving himself as an independent operator, making significant contributions to the family's most successful season to date. Everything was going smoothly until, of course, a massive water pipe burst. A loader accidentally clipped the line, spraying water everywhere and threatening to bring things to a halt. But Cousin Mike didn't blink. He jumped in, slapped a collar on the damaged pipe, patched it up, and had everyone back sluicing in no time. Crisis averted. Beat style. Finally, it was time for the family to come together and weigh the season's results. Spirits were high, and the first weigh-in didn't disappoint. Monica's tailings operation pulled in 46.56 ounces. Not bad at all for a short test run, adding about $124,000 to the pot. Over at Indian River, the wash plant Slucifer delivered a serious performance, turning out 211.88 ounces, bringing in over $565,000. But the biggest numbers came from the trommel at Paradise Hill, where 228.07 ounces of gold rolled in, worth more than $600,000 on its own. When it was all tallied up, the Beets family ended the season with a whopping 5,777.12 ounces. That's 777 ounces more than their goal, with a total value well over $18 million. For Tony Beets, this wasn't just another notch in the belt. It was the most productive and rewarding season of his 40-year mining career. The Beets name had never shined brighter. Meanwhile, Kevin Beets stepped into the spotlight with his first full season running an independent crew. It wasn't an easy ride. He started strong, but mid-season took a hit when his key crew members, Chase Drager and Hunter Canning, had to leave due to prior commitments. Then came the worst of it. The feeder belt, which had been holding on thanks to some creative patchwork, finally gave out and shredded itself. It needed a full replacement. But Kevin didn't fold. He led the repairs himself and pushed ahead with a smaller, scrappier team that never stopped hustling. They sluiced hard for 3 straight weeks. At the final weigh-in, Kevin and his right-hand woman Tang stepped up proudly with their haul, 375.80 ounces. Just over $1 million in gold. That brought Kevin's seasonal total to 1,156.57 ounces. A huge win for someone trying to prove they could make it on their own.